strange fire to God in the sanctuary and were burnt to death. Today, that phrase, acharei mot, has a freighted significance for us. This Shabbat falls just before Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, the day instituted by the Israeli Parliament in 1951 to commemorate the 6 million who perished in the Shoah. Tomorrow, one of our Kabbalat Torah students, Jacob, will be leading prayers taken from our Siddur in remembrance of that most devastating episode of the 20th century. In one sense, these last 8 decades, since the end of the Second World War, have been lived in the shadow of acharei mot, after the death of the 6 million. It is true that as the years pass, there are fewer survivors, and we are the privileged generations to have known and listened and spoken to some of them. But our worldview as Jews, our beliefs and assumptions have changed radically and continue to change for as long as we are their witnesses. Out of the ashes of the Shoah emerged legislation, promises, hope that never again would there be a war like the wars of the 20th century, never again a genocide against a people simply because they are Jews or Christians or Muslims or Sinti or Uyghur or any other tribe or nation different from their neighbors, from the people among whom they live. Acharei mot, after the death of 6 million, survivors, children of refugees, some of whom were our grandparents or great-grandparents, found sanctuary and refuge in this country or in other countries. They lived and worked here. They had children and grandchildren. They contributed to the well-being and economy of this country, and so often expressed and continue to express their gratitude for being able to live in freedom. They hoped for justice and peace. They sought healing for shattered souls and crushing bereavements, but never forgot the parents, the siblings, the children, grandparents, and other relatives who died in the Shoah. These are the people whom we remember this weekend as we observe Yom HaShoah, which begins on Sunday evening. And there is another significance to this phrase, acharei mot, as we come together with you, our Kabbalat Torah class, and your families in prayer this evening. Last night, the media announced the death of Doror Or, one of the hostages who was taken to Gaza from his home at Kibbutz Be'eri on October the 7th, and whom we here at the LJS had the honor of adopting in a special scheme organized by the Board of Deputies. It was Doror's brother, Elad Dor Or, whom I met in Israel 2 months ago, and who described Dror as a gentle, soulful individual who practiced yoga, who was a chef and a cheesemaker, and who, with his wife Yonat, had brought up 3 children, 2 of whom, teenagers, were abducted on that terrible day back in October. The children were released at the end of November, but Doror remained, as far as the family knew, a hostage in Gaza. Last night it was announced that he had been killed on October the 7th, and that his body remains in Gaza. Acharei mot, after the death of Doror, the hope that his family had for his return must have died. He had become a significant presence, in a sense known to us all, at our Shabbat services when we mentioned his name, and the name of Amit Esther Buskila, another hostage, whom we had the privilege also of adopting. We pray that she is alive and will soon be released to her family. So there is profound sorrow and grief as we immerse ourselves in remembrance of lost lives, the lives of 6 million, and the lives of one man, Doror, and his wife Yonat, also killed on October the 7th. In our post-October the 7th Jewish world, we are left with many questions about how we celebrate Shabbat and our festivals, how to honor the memory of those who died, how to reorientate our Jewish identities. What can we believe? What can we hope for in such a difficult and confounding world? Despite these sad memories, Shabbat does not call us to sorrow or grief, but to oneg, to the enjoyment of a day of rest, prayer, study, coming together as a community, and the celebration of 8 individuals who celebrate their Kabbalat Torah. However hard it may be, we are called upon to welcome Shabbat, to find peace and tranquility and rest from the chaos and turbulence of the past week. If we were to create a representation in art of this moment in time, this Erev Shabbat service, I think it would look like a Rembrandt painting, the background in dark shadows, and in the foreground, in my imagination of Rembrandt's reimagining of this moment, there would be a group of 8 individuals, their figures illumined by a translucent light, a light of faith, friendship, laughter, life, hope, critical and challenging thought, which I experienced when you were in class Chet, and I'll never forget, depth, intelligence, and by a moving and deep appreciation of the liberal Judaism in which each one of you have been raised, and which I think you love. And if I say that with some surprise, it is because our world often seems to lack trust and faith. And yet here, before us this evening, is a group of individuals who are able to express trust, hope, and love. Tomorrow, they will read some of the most challenging and alien parts of the Torah in Acharei Mot, and they will not be afraid of raising their own voices and building on the wisdom and tradition of those who have come before them. They are not timid in reconstructing the assumptions and beliefs of the past and formulating what Rabbi David Ellenson describes as their own meaningful constructs that are more resonant with the faith and sensibility of a present-day Jewish community. That representation of light and shadow goes back to the moment of creation, when light was created out of the unformed chaos and darkness of the deep. This new generation of you, our Kabbalat Torah students, are about to create something new out of the bewildering and chaotic times in which we live. And we are their witnesses to the future, and we should heed their voices and learn from their critical and challenging thoughts, from their trust in a better world, and from the depths of their humanity. Perhaps as we stand with them this evening and tomorrow morning, we should rename this Shabbat, not Acharei Mot, but Hanitzavim Lifnei Chayim, those who stand before life.